Welcome into the Creepy Crawlers garage, and we're going to take a closer look at the Samurai project that Frank's been working on for us. This is a project that was sent to us by Highway 1 RC, and basically it was a pile of parts they sent us that Frank's going to turn into a short wheelbase crawler. Let's start by looking at the wheel and tire combo, and it's kind of an interesting combo. What we have is a RC four-wheel drive breaker wheel with a rock stomper tire around it. Now, but what's interesting is this is a 1.9 wheel, so 1.9 diameter wheel, and this is a 1.55 diameter tire. So the bead on this tire is 155. So it actually is very stretched onto this wheel, and I actually like the way this comes out to look. It kind of balloons out the sidewall and gives it a really nice look, I think. In fact, let me turn it towards you a little bit, you get a little better look. Makes for a, I think, for a good-looking wheel and tire combo, and a tire combo I think that should work pretty well. I think there's still enough of a sidewall here to actually work out on the rocks. Closer look at the body, you can see we've got a Proline Suma body that's been sprayed silver and then undercoated with black, and then the undercoat of the black actually shows through on the roof, so you got a blacked-out roof. There still will be graphics to come and some detailing to come on the body, but that's the body itself. And then we also have the one-off grill that we made for this to make it look a little more like a Samurai. So this is a one-off 3D printed grill that we did here in the garage. So if we take the body off and get a closer look at the chassis, you can see this is a Pimpin Crawlers chassis. It's a one-off chassis built by Pimpin Crawlers on SCX10 II frame rails. So all the plastic parts that you see, whether it's the shock towers, the cross member mounting the transmission and engine, the battery tray, those are all just SCX10 II parts that I had laying around the shop to help build out this chassis. Now, we don't have any links on it right now, so it's kind of just set in here the way you see it. But I did have to, just already measuring up the wheelbase on this, because it's very short wheelbase, I did have to flip the rear towers to move the tops of the rear shocks forward, so at least we get, I think, a little bit of forward angle in those rear shocks, but they're going to be pretty close to vertical. But I think that's the best we're going to be able to do with using somewhat stock pieces. Now, I went ahead and flipped the chassis upside down so we can get a closer look at these axles that we'll be using. And these are Vanquish Curry Rock Jock axles, front and rear. It's the same axle. Now, we've got a black one up front, silver one out back. And you can see they're pretty banged up. I'm not sure. We might end up repainting these. The Highway 1 RC guys really didn't care if we did or not. We might go ahead and do that because we got a lot of new parts elsewhere. Really the only used parts are the axles and also the Proline shocks that we're using. So we're using Proline shocks front and back, front and rear. The rear is just single stage springs, and the front we got dual rate springs. So these, the axles and the shocks are still going to be completely torn apart and rebuilt to make sure they're functioning. And like I said, we might end up repainting these axle housings. Not sure yet. But the chassis flipped back right side up, we can now see the motor transmission combo that we're going to be using. This is a stock transmission from an SCX10 II along with the transfer case. And then we have a censored brush castle motor that's mated to it. Now the thing with this is, because of this short wheelbase we're going to be using, we're going to have to end up building, not only are we going to have to build out links for this chassis, we're going to have to build out drive shafts for it also, coming out of the transfer cases to the axles. The back being what appears is going to be pretty short, so we're going to have to see if that's going to work out or not. But we will have to build custom drive shafts for this also. So this is where Frank's at so far with the Samurai project, and even with all the shenanigans involved, I really like the way it's coming together. I actually really like the way it looks. I really like the short wheelbase. If we can make that work, I think it's going to look really nice. It's really going to come down to just building the right links for it, getting the right 4-link setup, and we actually had some of the materials come in for that to get done, the 4-link material we're going to need. It's also going to come down to building those drive shafts, but I don't think that should be too much of an issue. Then it's just a matter if they're in a servo, an ESC, and a battery in it. It'll be good to go. So look for that coming up in the next episode of the RC Shop. We should be finishing this off, getting it ready to take out on the trails, and Frank will be working at it again. And you know that sometimes that can be interesting. So look forward to that in the next episode of the RC Shop. If you haven't seen how we got to this point so far, it's actually in Monday's episode, last Monday's episode of the RC Shop. It's episode 15. So if you want to check that out, make sure and go check it out, and you can see how Frank got to this point. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I kind of enjoy these closer looks, giving you a little closer look at what's going on. If you have any questions about it, let me know down in the comment section. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. And of course, hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up with these projects that's going on here in the Creepy Crawlers garage. And I'll see you next time. Later.